with 25 seconds on the clock. He fakes left. He fakes right. Does he get his earpiece in on time? Yes, he does. Can he be heard? I don't know. Hi, Varys. Hi, Omelet. Thanks for joining me. Oh, man. The countdown is unreal every single time I go to do this. Hey, it's Ryan from Knights Around a Table. That's me. And today, I've got this game right here. It's called Dead of Winter. You may have heard of it. It's already enjoyed a spin-off series or a spin-off game, but this company called Gaming Trunk in Canada sent me a few different inserts for me to open and put together and put the game inside. As you know, I love inserts, so that's what's going to be going on in this stream. But it really is just going to be me hammering stuff together, not being super too interesting with the actual assembly of this thing. But I thought we might add a curveball to this stream. So what I've got is this: when you watch any Knights Around the Table stream, I'm just making sure that you can hear me. That's always like, I don't want to go on for another 5 minutes. You're like, hold on. Can't hear you at all. Excited to see the toothpaste go back in the tube. Yes, you can. Great. Just making sure, because I hate to go 10 solid minutes and you're like, Ryan, it's been off for the entire time. Dead of Winter. The thing that I wanted to do on this stream was that I noticed on past streams, particularly the birthday stream, if you caught me last Wednesday on my birthday, it took a long time to play Tricarian solo. It was a very gigantic, it's already a gigantic game, and I think it took longer to play solo than it actually does to play multiplayer. I think it took me 8 hours, but part of that, it wasn't all gameplay, let's be honest. Part of it was because I was yammering as usual. So I thought, let's turn a bug into a feature and do it like this. When you watch an Untold Entertainment live stream, you earn, somebody's done it already. Okay, I'll get to that in just a second. Let me explain it first, and then we'll dive right in. You earn currency, and you earn two different kinds of currency. You earn currency through Twitch, I'm calling that stars, and you earn currency through the chatbot, and I'm calling that cheddar. So two different parallel currencies. Now, the reason I have two different parallel currencies is because I can do a whole lot more with cheddar than I can do with stars. I can create little things, little chat responses and things through Twitch for you to redeem stars with, but I can do a whole lot more with cheddar. For example, I can give you cheddar. I can't give you stars, but I can give you cheddar, right? So if you watched, I forget which stream it was the one with Cheryl where we were playing Patchwork Christmas, and I had a particularly difficult puzzle that I posed you in the stream before. Nobody got it, and so I thought, okay, we'll try it again next stream, put it up, and one of the chatters, Zero Aperture, solved the puzzle. So I was able to award cheddar to Zero Aperture, which I can't do with stars with the Twitch currency. And then even prior to that, if you saw Dr. Ben and me talking about our favorite top 5 Uwe Rosenberg games, and then we played You Don't Know Uwe with a big quiz thing where you had to face off against Dr. Ben and try to beat him, then the winners of that, including Dr. Ben, who won, unfortunately. So Dr. Ben was first place player, and then I was able to award cheddar to the second and third place players. So that's what I can do with cheddar. So this time, if you spend 500 of your cheddar, how much cheddar do you have? Type ! Points and you'll find out. If you spend 500 of your cheddar and give me a story prompt, just a one-word thing, and I haven't been able to filter it so that it's only one word. You can give me a whole sentence, but in the spirit of this, I'm just going to take the first word you put after that command prompt, and I'll tell you a story, and that's how it goes. Maybe it's a good story, maybe not, maybe it's long, maybe it's short, but let me just scroll up and see what did I miss, who Took, story time 2, very good. Here's the story of 2. So there, you know that I wear hats in my videos and on my streams, and there have been 2 instances now as of today where I've worn hats that I actually wear out in public. This is my winter hat, and you've seen me wear my summer hat in, I think, the Find the Fun video for Lost Ruins of Arnak. That's an actual hat that I wear around because I take a medication that makes me, I'm such a snowflake, that makes me sensitive to UV rays, so I had to make sure that I'm wearing a broad-brimmed hat and stay out of the sun a whole lot. So that, like, Indiana Jones style safari hat is what I actually wear in the summertime. This is what I actually wear in the wintertime. But as a bonus, I have brought something else that I wear in the wintertime. Now, this might be, I mean, I live in a cold weather climate in Canada and southern Ontario. It gets really chilly, and we can reach temperatures of negative 30 degrees Celsius. And I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit because that's a nonsense scale that makes no sense to me. But maybe better math minds can tell me. But I also wear something that I brought along today that I don't know that a lot of my Canadian counterparts do know about or do wear, and it mystifies me because why wouldn't you? Hold on, let me get this thing off of here. This is a tube that your head goes in called a snood. Now, let me show you how it works. Generally, it's just a tube, but this is a tube with a hood, so it's almost like a cowl. But it's also got a little bit of cat hair on it. There's a little bit of life stuck to this snood, but check this out. Yeah. So, normally a snood would end just right here, right? You just get this, but my snood is special. It goes all the way up over your head if you want it to, right? So I usually like put it back and I put it all the way around here, and then I put my toque on like so, and I'm able to actually pull this up so I can have it here, or I can have it here like the people who don't know how to wear masks right in a grocery store, or I can put it up here like people who do know how to wear masks right, because I find with the snowy weather, I mean, the worst is when that cold wind hits here and here. It's awful. That biting, blistering wind. Those three areas, my cheeks, my forehead. So look at this. This snood just boom, 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 and like so, and we're good. And that's all I need. That's all I need to survive the great Canadian winter. So there we go. Why did I bring a toque? Well, because we're talking about dead of winter. I thought it was thematic. So, that's my Canadian look. There's your toque story explanation. I hope that was worth 500 cheddar to you. How's that different than a balaclava? A balaclava is different because, well, I mean, this one has features. Look at this. Can't you already see? This one has sort of like a drawstring. I didn't do this when I had it on, but you can pull it and go like, and like really encase yourself in it. And a balaclava, I'm trying to think. A balaclava does this, right? Yeah, so I'm wrong. A snood, that is essentially a balaclava. So I think a balaclava does your whole head, and a snood just does your neck. So it's just a tube that cuts off from here to here. So I think we've got the nomenclature correct now. Snood is just the tube. Balaclava goes over your head. I've got a fancy one that you can like cinch so that it does this. Very nice. Hard to see parts of it. It's black. You're black. I know. There's a lot of black, and I've got like a high contrast situation going on. That's why I become Canadian Ninja. You can't see me at all, except that I'm just this black blob in front of just barren white background. So you can't see me, except that you can absolutely, completely see me. Did you know, I believe that our Inuit, the original folks who were living here up in the north end of the country, invented snowblind glasses. They're glasses that, they wrap around and they look like they're straight out of Tron or something, and they've just got slits in them. That happened to me. If you're not from a country that gets snow, that's the thing that you might not expect. You go out in the car and on a clear day, those are the coldest days, by the way. The cloudy days are warmer, clear days, look out. It's a really clear day the other day, and the sun was just beaming down to the snow, and the rays just bounce right up into your eyeballs, and just like, it's like the end of Raiders of the Lost Ark. Your eyeballs are just melting out of your head like that. It's just, whoa. So yeah, it really helps to get like, at least sunglasses. At least worst ninja ever, exactly. Negative 40 degrees is negative 40 Fahrenheit, which almost answers my question. Negative 22 Fahrenheit. Okay, yeah, so it gets down to negative 22 Fahrenheit, negative 30 Celsius here. I was just thinking about this today and couldn't recall, says Poppy, the name of this article of clothing. So cold here today. What do you consider cold, Poppy? I forget which part of the world you're from, because everybody's from all over the place. It's hard for me to keep track. It all just makes me very glad I don't live in Cleveland, Ohio anymore. How cold did Cleveland, Ohio get too? I imagine, I've never been to Cleveland, but it's Midwest, and I think it's pretty like you don't have mountains around it or anything. I think it's just the wind just gets to tear right through and rip you to shreds, doesn't it? Great. Wait, toque is pronounced toque. Yes, toque. T-O-Q-U-E, toque. Even en français, c'est toque. How have you been pronouncing it? Have you been saying talk? Or have you been calling it a talk you? That's funny. We got down to the negative teens in Fahrenheit, which is probably negative 20. I mean, that's cold. What I've learned in my old age, you saw me, I hit a birthday, I am in my old age, but what I learned about temperature is that moisture in the air matters a whole bunch, doesn't it? I should start unboxing this thing and reboxing this thing while I talk. Let me just, so I've noticed that like, you know how people say, oh, it's a dry heat. Arizona is hot, but it's a dry heat. Like Arizona here is insufferably hot. But yeah, dry heat is much easier to handle than a wet heat, because in a wet heat, like, have you been reading about climate change, like a paranoid freak like I have, where there's a point at which if the air is too saturated with moisture and it gets hot enough, your sweat won't wick heat away from your body anymore and you'll just like die. So wet heat, very, very bad. And wet cold is also very, very bad. And those are the two that we get in Southern Ontario, wet heat and wet cold. Yeah, not nice. This is the situation in the box when you don't have a nice insert like the one made by Gaming Trunk. What do we got? We got a whole bunch of player mats and some instructions. We've got this deck that I didn't put away last time I played. I don't know how much you played this game. I've only played it, I think, generously twice, but it may just have been once. I'm not too sure. It didn't really take with my group. It's semi-cooperative, and you are in a complex that in the dead of winter that's overrun by zombies. So there's a big pile of tokens, big pile of cards. There's different people you play. There's different stations that you go out to, and the different cards you can get. Here's medicine. So it'd be nice. I hate putting decks of cards. I don't know about you. I hate putting decks of cards in baggies. That sucks, and I don't know why. I want a nice, I don't know if this has it. Ooh, look, it does have it. Nice tray where you can slot all your cards. Doesn't that look lovely? Oh, I prefer that. And then, you know, this just, I hit this in the, this is just what I call a well, where it's just like, here's a big bucket to throw all your pieces in. So it looks like the insert also does the well, because these are little standees that you portray all the different characters that you can play in the game. I think you got like a squad of different people that you portray, and they all have little standee, you know, these things that go. I'm not going to take it off because I always worry about fraying the cardboard when I take it off and put it back on. That's why I like to keep this thing, you know, assembled as much as I can. So it looks like they're all just dumped in these buckets, but I think I'm pretty okay with that. That's how I have them here, and they look fine. Look, no damage, nothing bad is happening, even with the cardboard knife. Ah, stabby. Great. I've heard them referred to either as beanies or toboggans. Hold on, am I reading that right? You call these toboggans? Okay, so here's the difference between a beanie and a toque. A beanie has no brim. It just goes straight, and so this is too long to go down my head as a beanie. So a beanie would have that like 2 inches cut right off it, and it's kind of more like a skull cap or a sextet, as we would say in the Middle Ages, which we're not in, so we don't say it. But a toque has a rolled brim. I think that's the difference between a beanie and a toque. Toboggan, I've never heard anything like that called a toboggan. Yeah, toboggans, yeah. The Panic Games has never heard of that either. Don't know, weird. Back to this. You got a die and a couple of other baggies. I think this should be pretty straightforward. It doesn't look like it was a very difficult insert for the Gaming Trunk to have designed. Let me tell you about a few features of the Gaming Trunk's inserts that I have learned to like compared to their competitors. So let me just crack this open. You'll see right away, he was not ordinary. Bob Dylan song stuck in my head. So it's a nice, tight, compact little package, which I quite like. And some of the competitor stuff, when you buy wood inserts, are a bit larger affairs. Let me just get the shrink off of it here. The very first thing you'll notice is that the wood is gray, and that's because the wood in a Gaming Trunk insert is stained, unlike some of their competitors. And so if you see me unbox or reboxing games using competitor products, competitor wood inserts, you've seen me with a mask on, and that's because they tend to kick up a lot of dust when you punch out the pieces. But I find with the Gaming Trunk ones, because they're stained, they kick up less dust. So I don't feel too compelled to have a mask on my face right now. You get a little instruction booklet explaining you how to put it all together. I think this looks pretty darn straightforward. Look at that, it's just one sheet, everything's numbered. So I think this should go together reasonably quick. What's this, a Gaming Trunk insert? Why, who are they? Asks Oberon 2K. Oberon, were you the one who was harassing me this entire time? I remember I was doing all these inserts from a competitor who sent me a bunch of stuff to put together for you, and at least a couple people were like, you gotta try Gaming Trunk. Try Gaming Trunk. Like every single video, they wouldn't leave me alone. Gaming Trunk is better. Try Gaming Trunk. They're Canadian. I'm like, oh, relax. Okay, I'll ask them. Turns out my emails were going into their junk box. But eventually I got in touch, and they sent me this and a few other things. You might have seen a past video where I inserted nothing. You didn't see what you thought you saw. Where I put together their insert for Catan. That was the last one I did, and I have one or two more. I think I see on my shelf 2 more from Gaming Trunk that I can put together for you. Great. Will you have to glue? That's a great question. I was just on their website and I saw they have, little testimonials from customers, and the guy's like, "Oh, these are great. You don't even need to glue." That wasn't the case with the Catan one. I thought I could get away based on that comment with not gluing, but I would glue. Though, unlike a competing product, what I find with a competing product is you have to assemble everything, or it's best to assemble everything first, let it sit for a few days, then take it apart, and then glue it and put it back together. And they do recommend put it all together first, so you're sure you're not mixing up pieces or getting things backwards. So that would be nonsense. Guilty. Yeah, that is you. I thought so. I have the root and wingspan stained inserts. Yeah, glue. Always glue. Yeah, I agree. I would glue too. Great, so step 1, let's go find that big base piece. I think it's right there. Shazam. Remember, 500 cheddar gets you a story. It makes this stream a whole lot more interesting than it's about to be. Step number 2, we're looking for, let's see how they label too. There's, different companies label their things a little bit differently. So this looks like it's labeled by letter, A. And unlike past ones, I don't know if they've done this either, but they're a little bit cagey. It's weird. Like, look, they've burned some text into different parts of it, but I don't know why they don't take the extra step, these guys or other guys, of burning the actual piece number into just the little strips outside the pieces. Put the piece number in like an arrow pointing there. Wouldn't that be a little bit easier? I don't know. I don't do this for a living. Maybe that is difficult. What do I know? I'm just a caveman. Great. One thing I did find, and this is the same as the competitor product, I should have my craft mat out. That's the one thing I forgot. So the laser cutter has cut the entire piece out except for 2 little notches. So generally you're just supposed to be able to twist and go. But I found with the stained nature of these ones that if it's not separated perfectly and you twist and go, you could splinter it and flake off a little piece of it, and that pulls part of your stain off. So to remedy that, I would definitely have a craft knife at the ready just to go knock knock and tick those out. So having said that, I guess I should probably do it. The little, you can see the notch too. It's right there, and it's down here. Lasers aren't free. What's going on? Do you know how much work it is to fill up the photon tanks? I honestly don't know if they're kidding or not. I have no idea. Is it more money to etch more things? I don't know. I honestly don't know how lasers work. I know how 3D printers work. Am I a good person? Oh my gosh. Fuzz, like, what is going on? Is that what that emoji means? Like, what is happening? Or I'm dreaming of a white Christmas? I have no idea what that face is supposed to mean. Who is that even? Is that one of the creators of Twitch? That dude with the beard and mustache? It looks maybe a little like me if you squint. Great. Oh man, I've lost my stuff already. So this was a bit of a nightmare when I was putting together one of the competing products that's in Foam Core, if you recall that one. I was putting together, which one was it? Oh yeah, a lot of these two are keyed, so like you can't screw it up. So it would be wrong to try to put it that way. Hopefully for obvious reasons. I do like how they've labeled them too, that's nice. Zombies go here, survivors go here. Quite lovely. So I'm going to put this in and see how well it sticks. Definitely feels like it requires glue. Which I don't have. I couldn't find it before the stream because we're a very crafty household. And my wife Cher has booked a craft show because she's making these cool felt ornaments. And my kid Isabel has done a whole bunch of watercolor pictures of mushroom people. Here, if you were on the birthday stream, I haven't been able to frame this yet, but you saw Isabel's take on Everdell. So that's what is, well, that's upside down. That's what Isabel's been doing with these watercolor pens. So Isabel's been doing pictures of mushroom people very into outdoor settings, and we'll be selling those among other things at the craft show. So we'll see how they fare at the craft show. Cheryl's just working like crazy every single night. I said, it can just be a hobby. You don't have to try to make money on it. That's fine. Just make ornaments and have fun. But there's that compulsion these days, isn't there, to turn whatever you love into, wow, that's so good you could make money at it. It's like, can't I just enjoy painting? Is that not acceptable? Kind of weird. least there's a separator between the survivors and the zombies. You know what happens when they mix. Oh yes, that's how you get more zombies. Do you ever play that Zombies triple exclamation mark game? That was one of the very first board games I owned. And I did not like it. I bought that, and maybe that was one of the first ones that I got involved with that had a million different expansions. So I bought that and maybe one expansion to it before I came to my senses, realized I didn't really enjoy it that much. There's a lot of like roll dicey kind of stuff going on, and tile laying. You lay down the map in tiles and you explored it, and just every single move you took, it's just like add 500 zombies to the boards. You're like, I don't really want to. That's how that game worked. Great. Yeah, this is gonna come together like a snap, man, like a cinch. It's gonna be a short stream. How un-American was this song? What are we talking about? What did I miss? Sharks, the Panic Game says. Sharks, that would be quadruple sharks. It's an LOL face. That's an LOL face? That guy's laughing? Is his mouth open? Just from here, I haven't seen it close up. I've got my monitor over here, and it just looks like a guy going like, does he not have his hand to his chin? LOL face, really? I don't think I would have guessed. What do I know about emojis? One of the first co-ops games I played ever was Walking Dead Best Defense. It was pretty fun for what it was. I have not played Walking Dead Best Defense. I was into the show for a little bit, but then I lost interest, and then Cheryl said she really lost interest. At the same moment, it seemed like everybody lost interest in that show, which is when a certain character died in a really kind of like gruesome... I know you say it's a zombie show, so everybody dies in a gruesome way, but they kind of like... If you know the show, I won't say the name of the character to avoid spoilers, but they kind of did it in like an awful way that made everybody feel bad about themselves. So, yeah, she stopped watching there, and I hear they lost a lot of viewers of the show at that point. Alright, so what I do is this one with these notches goes in here. Nope, I'm wrong. This piece completely does not go here. I'm not even looking at piece numbers anymore. I just freewheeling it. Alright. The piece that looks like that goes here. The piece that looks like this goes here. Great. Yeah, that's when I jump ship on the... Yeah, I heard... Yeah, I don't know. How would you characterize it, the Panic Games? Like, it was like mean-spirited, right? Like a beloved character that you didn't want to die, but of course they're going to... it's a horror show. You're going to kill beloved characters. That's just what's going to happen. Plus the actors are making too much money, so we got to get them out of here. But yeah, they kind of killed that character off in like just a distasteful kind of way, if that makes any sense. I don't know. And there's another famous or popular zombie board game in board game land called Zombicide. I believe it's... Do you say Simon or you say come on? I think it should be come on, but I think people are pronouncing it Simon, cool mini or not. I have the wrong pieces on the board. That's why they don't fit. So that's great too when they are able to design the inserts so that it's... Ooh, it's story time. Story time. It's coming. Story time gaming. Oh, my origin story. I'll let that extra word or two sneak by because you're just clarifying the prompt that you gave me. Origin. My origin story as a game. Now, that's tough, Poppy, because it goes back. Let me just catch Oberon. Oberon says we have a great collection of Zombicide Fantasy. Is that a different line than the Zombicide zombie stuff? Is it like the same game except now it's unicorns? Murder them. I don't know. My origin as there's my origin as a board gamer, which isn't that exciting, and my origin as a gamer, which is a little bit, I wouldn't say juicier, but there's more of a story there. Just as a board gamer, we were going to a church and we met a couple who were our age and they were married. And they said, maybe we should have Ryan and Cheryl over to play Settlers of Catan. And they were kind of murmuring. And they said, do you think they're smart enough to play Settlers of Catan? And I'm like, smart enough? Damn it. And I was kicking things over. Of course I'm smart enough to play. You bring that game right here, right now. So we sat down, we played Settlers of Catan. They had brought it out for another couple. And maybe you've experienced this too, where you bring out a board game for a couple friends and put it on the table. And they're like, how is this fun? You have to do math? I wasn't ready to think on a Friday night. I've had that experience so often. That's the kind of people you don't want to play board games with. So they introduced us to the Settlers of Catan. We played. Their marriage went very south. He's no longer with us, very sadly. She's no longer into men. It's a really, it's just, they have a much more interesting story than my gaming origin story, to tell you the truth. But it's their story, so I really can't tell it. My origin story as a gamer, however, begins with, remember I said that I was the only child of a single parent mom. And I think she had a boyfriend when I was younger, and that was my first taste of a gaming system. And so my father, who was not very involved in my childhood whatsoever, he would just poke in like a garbage kind of leprechaun and just set a couple of things on fire, chain smoke a few cigarettes, and then disappear for the next 4 years. That was my experience of fatherhood. My mom had mentioned on one particular birthday that I really took to these video game systems. So he brought me to good old Zellers, a Canadian standby, which is kind of like a Target of the day, I guess. It's no longer in existence. You gotta get a cartoon-sized mallet to hammer some of these pieces. This is what that customer was talking about when he said no glue required. If you got it forced in like this, you don't have to glue. And I hope I'm putting the right piece in here. Yeah, man, I miss Zellers. Club Z, baby. Club Z. They had a loyalty program called Club Z. One of the very first loyalty programs, I think, in existence in consumer history. So, they had a, sorry if that's mega loud through the mic. I don't know how else to do that. I don't know how to solve that. Yeah, one of the very first loyalty programs. Maybe I should stop talking and then finish hammering, and then called Club Z. And the big thing was like, do you think you'll ever get enough points for the diamond ring in the Club Z book? So the cheap jewelry. Anyway, he took me to Zellers and he pulled off the shelf. And this was in the waning days. This was after the arcade or the home video game market collapsed. He grabbed a Atari 2600 and paid for it. I believe it cost $20 at the time because the market had crashed. And I think all the games were in a big old games bin for like $1 a piece. But I was so thrilled. That was my very first console. We took that home, and he blew out. He didn't play with me or anything. He was gone like a whisper in the night. But boy, did I ever play the hell out of that system. And then that dovetails nicely into the story that I told during the patchwork stream, where Christmas or two later, Mom got me the Nintendo Entertainment System, which in retrospect may have been I'm going to show that guy up. I'll get him an even better system than the Atari 2600. Parental competition. You'll love me more if I get him the better system. So that's like my first exposure to gaming of any kind was that. Of course, there were board games. One of my earliest exposures, and I think I've told this story, to board games, I really wanted, they advertised aggressively to kids on 80s TV. Sorry, that is so loud. I know that's awful. I'll try to stop. But look, we got most of this box together. Advertised aggressively, and one of the things they advertised was this game called Bed Bugs, which was just a vibrating board that had little plastic pieces on it shaped like bugs. And at the time, I didn't know that a bed bug was a real thing. I thought, this is like a cartoon bug, like a glow bug. Glow bug, by the way, was also a real thing. But I didn't know, there were so many stuffed animals and cutesy toy things that were based on real and really disturbing, awful real-life bugs. So bed bugs, you're just supposed to pull these bugs off the bed with tweezers. really catchy theme song on the ad and everything. I desperately wanted bedbugs, and we went to Consumers Distributing. There's another Canadian standby, so it was like a catalog store. You just order something, and it was like the original IKEA or Costco, where they just had a big warehouse, and you order by number, and they go pluck the thing off the shelf and charge, a 30% markup for it for some bizarre reason. You couldn't even put your hands on it yourself. Consumers. So I went to go get bedbugs, and they were desperately trying to talk me out of it. They said, please don't get bedbugs. And I didn't understand why. And now I kind of understand why. Bedbugs are pretty gross. You don't want them in your house, either in real form or even in cutesy cartoon form. You just don't want to bring that curse down upon yourself. So they convinced me to get a different game out of the catalog. I had $20 for bedbugs, and this thing cost $40. And they said, you know what? We will pay the extra $20 so that you don't come home with bedbugs. And I said, well, sell me on this game. They said, oh, it's great. It's talking to like 8-year-old me, I think. It's great, Ryan. You get to travel around Atlantic City buying properties and charging people rent and putting houses on the board. I said, how does that sound like a better game than bedbugs for an 8-year-old? What are you talking about, Mom? So that day I came home with my first ever copy of Monopoly. So many stories. If you have a towel or a mat, it may help with sound. Yells Omelet. Yes, I know. I wasn't prepared for the hammering involved, and this is since usually my microphone is on my chest, but I have the microphone on the table now, so any vibration on the table is going to make it bounce around and react poorly. My apologies. Great. We got those side panels on. We're just going to put some back panels on. Ain't no thing. And there's a little mini wall that goes in here. It's hammer time. Stop. It's fairly loud, but not too bad. I'm glad to hear it. Is it jellied tongue loud? That'll be our litmus test for how loud stuff is. I find now these bits are a little bit tricky. Once you, I don't know, woo, talk about loud. That's the noise when somebody's gonna raid the channel. Sounds like the R&R show is over, I'm guessing. Hey everybody, it's Ryan from Knights Around the Table. Thank you so much for joining me. What am I doing today? Well, I've got this game here called Dead of Winter. It's upside down. Oh my gosh, look, I fixed it. It's fine. And I'm going to be putting together this, or I'm in the middle of putting together this insert for it from Gaming Trunk. But the more interesting thing, depending on what you find interesting, is if you cough up a couple of channel points for free to you, then I will tell a story based on your prompt. I've already told the story about my origins as a gamer, about my deadbeat dad buying me a Atari 2600 video game system, the first system I ever owned. Riveting stuff, kids. Oh, thank you so much for the follow, Legends DM. You know what, Legends DM, for the follow, if you hit me with a story prompt, just a one-word thing, I'll tell you a story, gratis. You don't even have to spend the channel points. Let me know, Legends, what you want to hear. I don't know how to get this piece in the insert. Sorry if you were coming here expecting to see Cheryl, by the way. Cheryl is off doing Christmas shoppy stuff. I think I've really painted myself into a corner with this piece, though. I really should have stuck it against this. Now, let me see. Is it my fault or is it the instructions' fault? It's definitely my fault. I should have attached it to the back of that. I missed that cue. So I was hammering away at this with the mallet earlier. Oh my gosh, what a point. It always seems like people jump in from another channel at the moment I'm having my most trouble. Wait, it's not. Yes, it is. Okay, with 51 people, my gosh. What was Rado talking about, by the way, in the Rado Runs Through stream? I caught it just briefly. I saw that he was using the avatar chat thing to have you play basketball. That looked kind of fun. Was that fun or was it dumb? Let me know. He was trying to convince me to get it. And I looked at it, and it just looked like, I said, you can design your own avatars. You don't have to go with our out-of-the-box ones. So I just pictured myself, like, spending all this time custom designing all these graphics to make, cooler out, because I got to be different, right? I got to be special. Yeah, the Blockhead avatar is playing games and whatnot. Was it fun, Kabuki Kid? Did you enjoy it? Would you recommend it for other streamers, let me say? Atari's a nice gift. Oh, thank you so much for the follow. Who you got? Hey, Kate Invader. Thanks, Kate. Oh, Kate Invader, or Cat E Invader. I'm not too sure. Is it like a Wile E. Coyote thing? Sometimes it's really hard to interpret these usernames. Let me know, Kate or Caddy. Legends DM said vacation. Oh, vacation. That is such a good prompt. Oh, okay. Man, I could tell multiple stories with that prompt, but the one I'll tell you is about the most recent vacation I took. My wife Cheryl grew up with a friend named Corey. Corey was her best friend growing up. Corey is an interesting individual. Corey ended up in California. We live in Southern Ontario in Toronto. And I'm telling this to tread water because I'm really nervous that I'll never be able to get this piece in anymore because I've got ahead and, oh no, I've done a bad thing. And this is very loud. So Corey ended up in California because she went to art school. She wanted to take animation, but she went to one of those schools that charges you, like $1 bazillion in tuition, one of those schools that kind of like take your money and run kind of schools. I taught at one of those schools. They're not pretty. Woo! Oh, I managed it. So Corey ended up at one of these take your money and run kind of schools, but that's how she ended up in California. And she was dating a surfer, and she kept saying to Cheryl, like, come on out to California. I'll host you. We'll get cheap tickets to Disneyland. We'll do all kinds of stuff. It'll be fun. It'll be fun, they said. Come to California, they said. So sure. So eventually we were able to save up enough money, and we took the kids, packed them on a plane, and went to California. So Corey lives in Oceanside, so Southern California, just north of what's the place? It's not San Juan. Not San Mateo. It might not even be a San. It's the one. Oh gosh, why can't I even remember the name of the city? But some of you in chat will remember the name of the city. It's the one that has like the Old West thing going on in the middle of town as like a touristy kind of grab. So we go there. And after we get off the plane, the very first thing before we go to Corey's house is I think, man, we're in Southern California now, the land of the good tacos. So the very first thing excepting Mexico, of course. So the very first thing I got to do is get myself some of those good tacos. I don't know if this piece is going to come out. It went in so uneasily. So we hit one of these late night, like 24-hour drive-through only, get yourself some tacos places. I eat the tacos, I enjoy them, fish tacos, and I go to bed. The next morning, I'm not feeling so well. So the obvious culprit is the midnight fish tacos from the dodgy, who knows if they're fly by night, like we're not from the place, I don't know what's going on. Yeah, Diego, thank you, it's Diego. San Diego, I couldn't remember which San it was. It was San Diego. So I have these fish tacos late at night. I don't feel so well the next morning. And then I start feeling super unwell. And man, did we have everything. And when I go on vacation, I know I may die the next month. So who knows? I do it up proper. So we were going to go to not only Disneyland, we were going to go to San Diego Zoo. We were going to go up to Universal Studio. We were just going to do everything we possibly could. But I didn't feel so good. And then I started barfing, and pretty severely actually. It was the most like there was pump action behind those barfs, and then there was pump action elsewhere on my body, and it turned into one of those things like the double-headed dragon thing, and so that was really bad. And it was so bad we'd eaten. This is a gross story, but it's worth it. We'd eaten mushrooms, I think, with on our pizza, which made a recurrence, and I actually, so much was going on or coming out of my body that I like clogged her sink with the pizza from before. It was really bad. We had to call a plumber, so he came over, and I was just like spending the whole day in the bathroom. We were supposed to be out doing stuff. We were going to go to La Jolla and see the seals and all this sort of stuff, and I was just like sick. So we just thought, man, just let him get over his food poisoning and it'll be fine. And then Corey started barfing. And she had the same double-headed dragon thing going on, and she got super sick. And then her surfer boyfriend got super sick. And then my eldest daughter got super sick. And then my youngest daughter got super sick. So it got to the point where we could no longer blame the fish tacos. It was not a fish taco issue. It was clearly something far more insidious. So despite it, man, I remember we were in a Mexican restaurant in San Diego, and it kind of like traded off. Like I'd feel like okay, like I could maybe stand without passing out. But then Cassie spent the entire time, as my eldest, she spent spent the entire time in the bathroom at the Mexican restaurant. And then by the time we got up to Universal Studios, the rest of us were fine, but that was the day that Cheryl was down for the count, so she didn't get to see most of Universal Studios, and it was just like awful. The plumber, we found out later, was norovirus. It was norovirus, and it just ripped through all of us. We gave it to our hosts. We probably gave it to the plumber who came to unplug the sink. We were spreading it everywhere. We have no idea. We probably spread it at the Mexican restaurant. Had we known, I don't think we would have gone anywhere. We made it to La Jolla, but I was like dragging myself by one arm. So like, I can see the seals. Die. It was awful. It was awful. But you know what? This is gonna sound like corny as heck. One of the best vacations I've ever been on in my entire life. Oh man, Corey is such an amazing host. It's such an amazing place to see. We had such a good time. We saw Hollywood quickly through a car window, driving as fast as we could because Hollywood's not very nice. We did it all, man. We did it all. We did it all while barfing prolifically, but we did it all. My gosh, what a good time. So much talking. I don't know if I should catch up to what Kabuki Kid and everybody else is saying. Right. Foreign tacos. No, the foreign tacos are the only way to go, man. We don't make good tacos up here in Canada. I'll have them wherever I can get them. Sounds like a bad time. It was a great time. Not the tacos. We need a hotel room with multiple toilets. But yeah, we were staying in her house, right? So we only had her bathroom. I just noticed the notification and got here as fast as I could. So what can I do? We're cashing in channel points for stories. So if you give me... cough up some cheddar and give me a one-word prompt, I'll tell you, hopefully, an entertaining story. I'm going to hammer on the table. It's going to be loud. Sorry. Okay, cool. My youngest is a drummer. Isabel was just practicing drums just before the stream happened. Okay, great. So I got that's what it should have looked like about 10-15 minutes ago. Great. So that means that we're safe to put this one back on. Thank goodness that it came apart without splintering any of the wood, because that's the other... I don't think I'm going to need glue, by the way, for this whole box. This looks like it's gonna hold together just fine on its own, if that little experience is any indication. Let's try hinging it up from here. I'm not a handy guy. As you can tell, basically my method of putting models and stuff together is just to like Hulk smash until they fit. So if I break things, it's really not a reflection on Gaming Trunk at all. It's just, I don't know what I'm doing with my body. Ever since puberty, it's been a bit of guesswork. Puberty, which was a while ago, I'll admit. Okay, I'm gonna hammer again. Sorry, close your ears. Great. How we doing? I just put together some IKEA furniture wrong. Ain't that the worst? At least with IKEA furniture, you can unscrew it. But you know, with that stuff, if you've ever tried to move, you know never to take your IKEA furniture with you, because if you try to unscrew it, a little more hammering, it never goes back together properly. It's like when you refreeze meat. It's not going to taste good. So with IKEA stuff, yeah, you unscrew it and everything gets like weirdly loose, and if you try to tighten it up again, you've made the holes too big. It just doesn't work. Just doesn't go. So it's cheaper like to ditch all your IKEA stuff and buy new IKEA stuff in the city to wherever you're moving. Great. A little more hammering. Can we handle it? I think we can. Oh my gosh. Hope Rado's not watching. He'll be like, what did we just throw to and for what reason? How's everybody else doing? Just ordered Dead of Winter for the kids for Christmas. Did I find out why? What am I doing? Bridesmaids, what's going on? Dabaglue regardless. Okay. The bridesmaids, okay. We're talking about bridesmaids. I missed the conversation. This is a good demonstration, says Omelette, as to why I'm never going to buy an insert. It's really not that bad. I'm making it look far worse than it is. And I hope that the lovely people at Gaming Trunk who sent me this insert don't watch this later, because they'll just be like, it's the same with when I was doing a competitor's insert, and I just, instead of following the guide and looking up the numbers really meticulously, I just punched everything out and had it on in piles on the table when I was reboxing Zaya. Not a good plan. I said this was going to be easy. I think I still have hope. I still think it's going to go together fairly nicely. It's a simple insert, and there's not a whole lot going on in the box. Zaya was a different story, because Zaya had like you know, see, so here's an example of where I definitely glue. That's not going to stay on all that well on its own. Though I guess you got the corners of the cardboard box that will hold it together a little bit easy, but I would definitely glue that. Maybe not the other bits. All right, there's that box. Fine. And then the last thing that you do is you put together this card caddy, which I'm pretty excited about. It's super easy to assemble when you're not distracted trying to tell stories and stream. Yeah, for sure. If I was able to just focus on putting this together and go together like a dream, I'm sure. I'm going to read the instructions a little bit more carefully on this one to make sure I don't goof up like that one piece again. Great. I'm just bad at this stuff, says Omelette. My first one will be the Frosthaven one since the campaign is fulfilled. Did they offer that as part of the crowdfunding campaign, Omelette? Like you could pay extra and get the insert? And who did the insert? Do you know which company did it? I'm curious to know. Like I mentioned for the people who are just joining us, the way that these work is the whole shape is cut out with the laser except for 2 little notches. And these ones from Gaming Trunk are stained, so one of the risks you run when you twist them like this is you might get a little splinter. I got this on the Catan one that pulls off some of your nice stains. So be careful with that, and when in doubt, if you want to be really particular about it, just use a craft knife to get those out of there. Okay, last big piece that I'll free up here. I think this would be great to have the cards all organized in a little card caddy. That'll be excellent. Now, for my birthday, I just saw my mom yesterday, and she gave me a present of 3, count them, 3 rolls of PLA. And so I asked for red, yellow, and blue because a lot of these inserts, when you make them with your 3D printer, they ask for you to print like in a different color for each player color. So now I've got all those primary colors and I can do it. Let's look a little bit more closely at these instructions, shall we? I don't know if you can see them as well as I can. Maybe I can get you in a little bit closer. Let's see. Can I? I can. Great. Okay, and I know it's a little bit overexposed and washed out, but read with me, shall we? All right, so you take your left foot, where is it? It's not this piece, it's the piece that looks like this. You take this and you put all these small dividers from this piece, doink, 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 along there, and then you put the skinny pieces on the side. I think I can handle that. That's not going to be too much of an issue. And look, you're going to get all these dividers. I was really surprised. Do you guys have like Marvel, is it Marvel Champions? The one that comes with like 1,000,000 decks of cards and a big trough, but like no dividers? Doesn't come with any dividers? And they say, oh, go buy your own dividers and label them. And you're like, didn't I just pay you for this game? What are you doing not giving me dividers? That's nuts. It's crazy to me. I recently got a free copy of Dead of Winter, says Kabuki Kid, from a friend who didn't like the game. Yeah, I think I mentioned earlier in the stream, I've only played this game once, maybe twice, and it's because I couldn't find other players to play it with me. They weren't that interested in zombie-themed semi-cooperative mayhem with a secret traitor. Go figure. But that was more still around the time when I was trying to convince friends who weren't into board games to play board games with me, which is a super no-no, and no kidding, no wonder they don't like any of the games you put in front of them, unless it's like, you know, Azul or something really simple, or Splendor. I got kind of tired of having my friends settle for Splendor, so I went out and tried to find friends who could handle something a little bit headier, because as you know, at Nights Around a Table, we do favor slightly hairier games. If you caught the birthday stream last week, that was me playing solo Tricarian, which is about as heavy as I could get. Oh, somebody's requesting a story. What is it? Story time, non-gamer. Non-gamer. Ooh, let me think. Let me think about that. Thank you for the prompt. This game would be best with 3 or more. Yeah, definitely. Like any game that has like hidden traitor mechanic in it. If you're playing with fewer than 3 people, it's not really going to play out that well. The more the merrier. And you know, it's hard, especially with COVID. It's like impossible to get more than 0 people to get to the game. So this was not hitting the table all through the pandemic, which sucks because it's a pretty nice pandemic themed game, isn't it? Everyone's stuck in a compound. Man, Dead of Winter is like, maybe that's the other thing too. It became too autobiographical. Non-gamer as a story prompt. Non-gamer. Let me think. Oh. Oh, okay, so here's one. I have a friend named Carla. I love her dearly. That's how I'm going to start. I do love Carla. However, Carla is a non-gamer. Carla is not very well versed in how video games work. And I didn't even realize that such a creature as Carla existed. So this is back when I was running my video game studio called Untold Entertainment, and I was working on a game called Spelerium, which was a game, if you played classic like LucasArts style graphic adventure games, that was the first half of it. You walked around, you clicked on things, picked up objects, used them to solve puzzles. And then there's a whole other layer where you would travel a map, run into monsters, and when you ran into monsters, it would, go to a monster conflict screen, and the conflict would be solved through a word puzzle game. So you'd get a well of letters, and you'd have to make words at this monster to use your magical device to defeat the monsters. That was Spelerium. So, I can tell you a bunch of stories about Spelerium because that was some of the most trying times in my entire life. I also had very young children. That's a very difficult, very, very difficult time in your life. So, I put Carla the non-gamer down in front of, they say, I mean, this applies to people who are making board games as well. The testing phase is just like, it's horrific when you go to test your games and you put it in front of people, because you picture like, okay, this is how the game's going to work, and you put it down in front of people, and people do, I'm going to say a bad word, the dumbest stuff. And that's a bad word because like they're not doing dumb stuff, they're just doing normal people stuff. But to the designer, that's like, that's the dumbest thing I could ever think of. Why would you do that? Because I didn't think of it. But it's honest, and that's one of the things you kind of have to eat a bit of humble pie when you're doing game testing. And just think like, it's not their problem, it's my problem, and I have to account for whatever goofy stuff people do during tests. Carla sits down, and I know one of the rules of testing games, video games, probably board games as well. Board games require a little bit more instruction, but at least with the video games, hammer coming up, at least with video games, the way I like to run my tests, depending on what I'm testing, is just like put them in front of the computer and like walk away and be a fly on the wall. If you can dress up like a fly, even better. And then just take notes as they do stuff. The worst thing you can do with video games is to sit and go, oh, you click that and you touch that and this button does this. Don't do that, because you won't get a very honest view of how well you've taught somebody to play that video game from an arm's length. Board games are different because there's a person at the table who's supposed to teach everybody, who's read the rules, or maybe it's Paul Grogan, maybe it's Ryan from Knights Around a Table. Hey, that's me. Carla sits down at the computer, and it's on the first screen. And let me just paint the picture for you. There's a character on the screen named Todd. He's a young man with a chin strap beard and a red robe, hammering. And he's in a scene like these graphic adventures like to do, where there are some sheep in a meadow and there's a cottage with a door. That's the setup. So Carla sits down and just stares at the screen. I think like waiting for the game to do something. And I sat there for a while, trying not to interfere, just watching what she does. I said, eventually I had to say like, hey Carla, you gonna play? And she's getting really agitated. She's like, I don't know what to do. So what do you mean you don't know what to do? I don't know what to do to play the game. I said, okay, why don't you try something? She goes, try what? I'm like anything. She goes, I don't know what to try. I'm like, okay, weird. Step one, like put your hand on the mouse. She's like, ah, and she's all freaked out about it. And then she kind of like moves the mouse and moves the cursor around the screen. I'm like, okay, that's a good first step. She's like, I don't know what to do. I said, okay, like, why don't you try clicking on something? She's like, click. What do I click on? I'm like, I don't know, anything. I had like, a million different responses programmed depending on anything that you clicked on the screen. I'm like, click on anything. Click on anything, Carla. It doesn't matter. Just click on anything. She clicks on like the sky, like the last thing you would do in a jigsaw puzzle. And that opened my eyes, because I did not realize that there were people. Now, Carla obviously wouldn't be a target customer for this kind of product. She was a friend who came and helped me out. But that's when I realized, like, if you think you know how people are going to react to your game, testing it, you are way out to lunch. They can come up with all kinds of crazy nonsense as non-gamers to trip you up. Video games are hard, man. That was one of the, like, you can spend like 90% of your time making 10% of your time making the video game and 90% of your time making an in-game tutorial to teach people how to play the game. Like, it's that much time. Really, really costly to get that teaching layer done in a video game. I wonder how that ratio works out with board games, you know? I wonder how much of the development you have to spend making that rule book absolutely perfect. I don't know about you. I don't know if I have ever met a rule book so bad that I've just like pitched it and haven't been able to play the game because it was so terrible. I've seen some bad rule books in my day, and I've done some commissioned projects where the games are hitting Kickstarter, so the rule book isn't even completely written. I'm actually working on one right now where that's the case. And I have to like read it, and it's translated from Chinese, and I have to read it on a PDF, which I hate doing. I hate not having like the actual physical rule book in my hand. These people who like see Kickstarters coming up and the rule books aren't ready, but they're able to read the PDFs on BGG and somehow absorb how the game works. My hat's off to them because I can't do it. A little bit of hammering, a little bit. So far, no splintering. Pretty good. Pretty good. I'm happy. Happy late birthday. Thank you, Makasu. We didn't see you on last Wednesday. You had a choice of Laser Ox Wood or Folded Space after the BT debacle. Did I miss something? What's BT breakfast time? So that stressed me out watching you. I couldn't imagine you'd succeed given your Cavalier punching and piling of pieces. I know, it was a mess, wasn't it? Right. This game is I caught up on that one. I'm scrolling poorly here. I need to run away. Need to prepare dinner. Thanks for stopping in, Kabuki Kid. You're probably long gone. I missed your message, but thank you for dropping in. This game. Your next line to have Ryan tell you a story about non-gamer. I just did that. LucasArts is just so good. I wish I knew about your games back in the day too. Thanks, Poppy. That prompts another story, but give me a moment. That's why point-and-click adventures have tutorials and highlight interactable objects. Why now they do. Back in the day they didn't, and I was trying to emulate the back in the day ones, and so you just kind of have to guess at what you could interact with, and then I changed that. Now here's another story about Spelerium. A person of note played Spelerium. This dovetails really nicely into this story. That person of note was a man named Ron Gilbert, whose name you might recognize because if you like graphic adventure games, he was the developer of Maniac Mansion, The Secret of Monkey Island, a lot of the classic stuff back in the day. Probably my favorite, next to Tim Schafer, one of my favorite old school adventure designers. Love the guy. He was actually kind enough one year when I went to the Game Designers Conference to meet with me for lunch and just let me buy him a lasagna and just chat him up and ask him all kinds of questions about the industry. And he has some really good insights that I've taken to heart and have never forgotten. But he tried that game. And he wasn't quite as bad as Carla, of course. Because, I mean, the crazy thing about Ron Gilbert is that when he did his most recent graphic adventure game, which was... I'm going to forget the name of it, and I feel bad about it. It was the one that was Twin Peaks inspired, with one of the characters was a clown. I cannot remember the name for the life of me, because I can't remember the name of anything. I'm so sorry. Let me know what that game is called. It was not Day of the Tentacle. You know, the one with the town in it. Anyway. Why was I mentioning? Oh yeah, because he programs all of his games in assembly. Like, if you know game programming, assembly is like, we call it like coding to the metal. Where you're actually like, it's the next step above ones and zeros. Like you're pushing bits around in memory. Crazy stuff. But he's been doing it for, 40 years. So of course he's got his methods and his scripts that he's not gonna part from. So he played my game. Very kind of him. And his feedback. Very first task in the game, there's a sheep. For game reasons, you need to shear the sheep. And there's, like I said, a cottage with a door in it. So your character says, I gotta go inside and find the shears for this sheep. So You click on the door. I thought this was all pretty self-explanatory. You click on the door of the cottage, and he goes in there, and the shears. Oh yeah, you go down little stairs, and you're in sort of like a basement, and there's a table, and there's a few objects around the room, and there's a pair of shears on the table. And what you're supposed to do from there, now hold on, I'm going to slow down just so you can follow me. You're supposed to click on the shears, and the character picks them up, and then you can go use them to shear the sheep. That's the puzzle. That's it in a nutshell. So his only feedback to me, I said, like, what? And there was a lot more game to it than that. I had a whole lot more programmed in the demo. And so he comes back, and I say, okay, so, tell it to me straight, Ron Gilbert, creator of The Secret of Monkey Island. How'd you like the game? And he goes, oh, man, you got to make it more obvious how to find those shears. I said, really? Why? He goes, I couldn't find the shears. I said, that's as far as you made it? Like, you got to the second screen and you couldn't find the shears and you gave up? And he was like, yeah. So, oh my God. Oh my God. So he suggested that I add like a glint of light that periodically goes doing and like pings off the sharp edge of the shears. And I wanted to say to him, Mamma Jamma, do you know how many hours I've spent cruising around the screens in your games trying to find the tiny little collectible objects in your games? Snap, are you kidding me? Ron Gilbert, creator of Maniac Mansion. It's stressful. So he didn't like the game so much. Couldn't find the shears. Couldn't find the rather large, I might say. They weren't scissors. They were like, I don't think I did any research into how big sheep shears were. So I just went for like garden hedgers. That's what was on the table, and he couldn't find the shears. Great, Thimbleweed Park. Thank you. That is the name of the Thimbleweed Park is the name of the Twin Peaks inspired thing that we did. Last box, and then we're ready to throw it all together. What have we got to do with this box? Well, we take it and we put it in a certain order. Let me get in a little bit closer so you can read along with me. So we put these in a certain order, and they're all etched with names on them against this backdrop. I can do that. And then we put these side pieces on, and then we put this narrow strip on. 2 of them. Great. I can do that. Looks like this is an extra one in case you lose or snap. Oh, maybe it's not. I think so. I don't know. It's always like IKEA furniture. Like, if you got an extra piece, you messed up. Oh, holy crap. What was that? So startling. What's going on? Hey, Loosapalooza. Hey, Loosapalooza's friends. Rating of 25. Oh, hey, everybody. Welcome. It's me, Ryan, from Knights Around the Table. And today, I'm not actually playing a game. I've got an insert from a company called Gaming Trunk that I'm putting together for this game. Dead of Winter. Who owns this game? Does anybody here joining us from Loosapalooza? What are you guys doing at Loosapalooza, by the way? Anything fun? Loser just dropped in on my stream not too long ago. Or I dropped in. No, I dropped in on yours, didn't I? Used to own it, got rid of it. Now, this is a common theme that people are telling me. They got rid of it. I mentioned earlier in the stream twice now that I only played the game, I think, max once, and it hasn't seen any play since. So with people with non-hoarding tendencies, they may get rid of a game like that. But for more fool me, I hung on to it. And look, now I get to put together this at least nice insert, which increases the resale value of it. I don't know what it's going to do, but my son hated the cover art. Zombies in general. Yeah, you know what? If you're not a big zombie fan, maybe Dead of Winter isn't going to be your jam. About the artwork, though, I think that this is gorgeous. I think this character artwork is absolutely fantastic. I really like. I should have looked up who this artist is, but really nicely done looking stuff. Semi between, it's not hyper realistic, but it's not super cartoony. I just thought it was a really nice portrait work in there. The game, though, is very, very great. And I said this about Frostpunk. Did you mention Frostpunk earlier? I am from the Great White North. This is the actual toque that I wear around in wintertime, and I showed my Balaclava earlier. I don't like the wintertime, and given a choice between a game that's set in a winter wonderland and like a tropical climb, I will go sunny all day, every day, and not touch the winter thing. So winter theme, not a big draw, especially like Frostpunk. Isn't Frostpunk, am I getting the name of the game right? That's based on the video game where it's like, you need to feed your people. Do you throw a handful of the sick and elderly through a meat grinder to do it? That's that game, right? Am I getting it wrong? I hope not. I hope not. Otherwise, the people who made Frostpunk are like, what the heck is this guy trying to say? More games. All right, let's get these dividers. So the last thing, we put a couple boxes together for this insert. There's only 3 of them, right? So there's this little one for your resources, this one for your zombies and your survivors, a little bit of dice, a little bit of zombie tokens. It's a pretty simple game as far as components go, so pretty simple insert. The biggest pain in the butt is putting all those decks of cards in baggies. So what the designers of Gaming Trunk have done is they've made a nice card caddy, and they've etched every single divider with what's supposed to go in there. If I get a different camera angle, we'll get in there a little bit tighter. Zoom. So now you can see. Right, that says Crossroads, that says 06. Oh, they're all numbered too, so you better get them in the right order. So this is the thing where I'm going to try to pay attention to you and pay attention to the instructions at the same time. That's just what the instructions are. Very simple, 1 page. All good. Also, if you would like to spend some channel points, you can blow your cheddar by using the storytime command, and then give me a single word prompt, and that'll tell you hopefully maybe interesting story. I don't know if the stories that I've told so far have been enough to hold everybody's attention, but I'm doing my very best, pulling the highlights of my life out. Okay, what goes first? It's the tab that says Starter. It's going to be a little bit of watch a middle-aged man alphabetize pieces of wood. Starter, they're numbered, so police, there's school, library, grocery. Shazam. What number did I get to? I got to 4. 5, hospital. 6, gas station. And that's it for the numbered pieces. And then after gas station, it's crisis tab. After crisis, it's main objective. After main objective, secret objective. And after that, betrayal, exiled objective, then survivor, then crossroads. Here we go. Here we go. Homohedozu says, I like the stories. Oh, thanks, Poppy. If you have the time, I put a lot of work in. Oh, did you make a video, Lisa Palooza? Yes, let's bank that. Let's not all go crazy at once, but we can't see that because we've got URLs forbidden. But maybe, I don't know, maybe Omelette, if you wanted to retrieve that, we could show that towards the end of the stream. Omelette's lurking. Oh no, we've lost Omelette. Oh no. What's the most obscure one-word prompt we can give? I guarantee you I'll come up with a story for it. I've got an improv background, man. I can figure it out. I worry that I put this backwards. No, I haven't. It's good. Is that your awesome Dead of Winter parody? Oh, did you do a Dead of Winter parody, Liz Bluzza? That sounds like fun. Okay, so it looks like in the illustration, the thicker bit is here. So earlier in the stream, I got a piece so stuck it took 15 minutes to get it unstuck. So I'm going to be a little bit more careful this time. And you don't want to splinter the wood. Whew. Whew. No glue required for this one for sure. Improv, really? Improv is my work. I know, you're in theater. That's cool. I didn't think your wife did improv, though. I thought you guys were both working in scripted theater. Is that the opposite of improv? I guess so. Yeah, I'm a... Sorry, this is it's really loud through the microphone. I don't know what to do. I didn't put any pillows down to spare your little earsies. Yeah, I'm a theater kid myself. I was in a performing arts high school program, and I did a little bit of semi-pro during college. And then I gave it up. Oh, I did some commercial work. I worked at YTV, which is like Canadian Nickelodeon. So I did some commercial work for different video game companies then. And excitingly, I found a box in my basement not too long ago that contained all my commercial work that I did in YTV. So I'd be a 20-something Ryan shilling for Nintendo and Microsoft Xbox. So I can't wait to... That's what I should have asked for my birthday. You know, I should have asked for a VCR so that I could get those tapes transferred. Because I have the dongle in order to transfer the VHS stuff, but I don't have the actual VCR to play the tapes. I do 95% improv. Ilka now does 95% scripted, right. I thought, yeah, I didn't hear your story last time that you were on here, Lucy Palooza, whether you were tech or front of it, like you were on the stage, you were an actor. Well, tell me now. I'm interested to hear it. Improv's tough. Improv's tough. If you caught my friend Shawnee O a couple of streams ago, we were playing Hallertau together during Uwe Rosenberg month, and Sean is not a gamer, but we were in a couple of improv troops together in high school, and we demanded that our teacher take us to the regionals, to the provincial regional improv games, and he said, no, you don't go, you're not going to like it. And we thought, well, nuts to you, old man. We know what's best for us. We're teenagers. So we demanded that he cook up like a field trip and take us to the regionals. So off we went. I think our troop was either called Alarming the Queen or My Grandfather's Cat. I can't remember which one. But we go to the regionals, and he was absolutely right. We didn't like it because the style of improv there was basically you had to have worked with your troupe and developed scenes that you could very easily slot audience suggestions into to change the scene in a minor way, but have this coherent scene that worked nicely. And then every once in a while you're like, strawberry. You know, it was a word from the audience. So it was kind of like the improv that we didn't like. The kind of improv that we did was just like total chaotic, fly by the seat of your pants, you know, a new scene every single time. Whatever the audience suggested, kind of like I'm doing now with these word prompts, and just come up with something. So that's what we were into, and that's not what they did at these regionals. And it wasn't really our style. So I was the guy in the troupe who would, whenever we played the game where, you know, you have somebody narrating and everybody else runs around and acts out what the narrator's doing in the narrator game. Catherine, who can't see us on YouTube, thank you so much for the follow in case you're watching this in reruns. So yeah, I was the guy, when we played the typewriter game, you know how you have one actor out in front who's typing a story. Oh, it was a dark and stormy night, and everybody's in the back running around, you know, portraying what he's discussing. So the audience had given us 3 prompts. We're at the regionals, our very first time, our last time too, because most of us were seniors. The audience had given us 3 prompts, and we played out the scene. It was chaotic. I worked in 2 of the suggestions, and I forgot one. And we got docked major points because I missed a suggestion from the audience. It just, much like these streams, it drifted out of my head while I was yapping, and I didn't get the important thing done. I'm very nervous that this is going to crack right here as I put pressure trying to hammer it in. This is tough, having all these dividers not, you know, line up perfectly, and then... So I missed that one thing. And you know how the trope is that, you know, people who play high school sports, I think Al Bundy had a story like this where, you know, then they become washed up middle-aged guys and they're all fat and gross, and but man, do they ever remember that one moment of glory in high school? Or maybe they're washed up because that one moment in high school was that they like screwed up the pass in the big game and the other team took the game home, and they were the big failure because they didn't win the game. So that was that moment for me in high school. It wasn't missing a pass, but it was missing that one suggestion from the audience at the regional improv tournament. Years later, you didn't know I was telling a story, did you? Years later, I got married. And I invited a girl to my wedding who I chummed around with in high school. And she invited a girl that I don't know that I would have invited. But she got a +1, so she invited this other girl. And one of the things that we did at our wedding, Shawnee O, by the way, was the MC at my wedding. Tangential. So one of the things we did at my wedding was I ran around with a video recorder, camera, we called them back in the day. And I ran around getting people to give shout outs and stuff so that we could remember the night and watch all these fun well wishes from guests. So we got to this friend of mine and her +1. And I don't know if her +1 liked me all that much. I think she came just to see, I got to see what Creighton's wedding is about and what kind of fiasco this is, and badmouth the bride, yada yada. So I think she wished me ill. But on the tape, the friend says, "Congratulations, Ryan and Cheryl. Hope you guys have a fantastic life together. Yada blah, yada blah." The +1 says, she takes this opportunity to say into the camera, onto tape, that I might be watching for the rest of my life. She says, "Hey, remember that time we went to improv regionals and the audience gave 3 suggestions and you got 2 out of them but missed 1 and we flunked out of the regionals?" Hit that a little bit harder than It needs to be. Thanks a lot, Kristen. Though I do know how to edit, I should really just do a little creative editing and get that out of there. Some people, though, right? Back to your chat. Although we just go, oh God, what's going on with COVID? I don't want to hear this story. Do you ever have thrift stores in Canada? Yeah, we do. I could pick one up from a thrift store, Poppy. I should go looking. I have an ongoing Dutch improv tour. My gosh, ongoing for how long? Although we just got the COVID ban hammer. Yeah, it's hit theater really hard, hasn't it, COVID? Tour canceled. That's the one you were mentioning that was canceled last time you were on. 21 shows in December canceled. That's brutal. 21 shows. That's an aggressive schedule. Holy cow. I don't know how people do board game stuff in the middle of like doing... This is all I got. I don't have another job. I don't understand how people do this plus another thing. This is enough for me. I was in the kitchen and thought my BGA was going off, but it was your hammering. Yeah, sorry about that, Dutch Yoda. I apologize. I didn't think of the hammering thing, and the microphone is right in hammer space. But now I got a chance to go to PAX. We're very excited, flying in a couple of hours. That's super exciting. Is anybody else in chat going to PAX U? PAX U? Yeah, PAX Unplugged in Philadelphia. That's where it is, right? Some people live their best life in high school. Have pity on her. You know what? No, she went, there's that. And I've coached my daughter because conventional wisdom, looks like we're risking splintering on this last piece down here. So I'm going to be very careful with the rest of the pieces. Conventional wisdom says, counsel your kids to say, Heathers is one of my favorite movies, and there's a moment in Heathers where, or at least in the musical, you're going to be a future gas station attendant. Right? I mean, you can say that, but then it's an even more bitter pill. Oh, thanks, Board Gamer Stuff, for the follow. If you want to just shoot me a one-word story prompt for the follow, I will gladly give you a story for your prompt. So the hard thing is that if you think, this person's going to amount to nothing because they're mean, because they're a bully, they're just going to be, a gas station employee. Nothing wrong with being a gas station employee, of course, but then when that person gets out of high school and isn't a gas station employee because they have very rich parents and were mean to you because they were rich and you were not, for example, and amounts to something, then all you're wishing for them to be washed up is down the tubes and you feel worse about yourself. So I counsel my kids not to wish ill on people or wish they have bad lives. First of all, because that's not nice. And second, because when they don't, you're going to have an even worse life than you counted on. We're in the danger zone at the back here. Like I said, I'm going to be careful putting this piece on. All right. I think I got away with that. I can see some sunlight going through some of these cracks. This might be a glue situation. And look how fragile and tender this bit is. So if I can just get these two pieces on, we'll be home free, made in the shade. Last two pieces. Here we go. Should I have done this first? Yes, I should have. Thank you for asking me. I have so many unbuilt inserts. It's a shame. Yeah, you know what? I do too. That's why I'm doing this right now, because I did this silly thing of asking a bunch of these companies if they would send me some inserts, because it's fairly easy to do a reboxing video. I say that as I struggle horrendously with this thing. Did I put... Yeah, this is the wrong piece. I'm silly. It's too wide. And then to not follow through and to not actually put the video together is pretty caddish of me, so... I'm getting through them. I have two inserts from competing companies. One of them is foam core and one of them is wood. And I want to print out the 3D printed plastic version of that and then do a video comparing all three and telling you, which one I prefer. I thought that would be really cool. So those are just sitting there because they're waiting for me to work up the gumption to do that video. I don't know, would you find that interesting? Hopefully. I have made mistakes. They have been many. This is one of them. Probably the worst one. I'm going to try flipping that upside down. Because I do not want to go. With every manhandling, I draw closer to splintering the wood. Oh, that's a tricky... I don't know about this design gaming trunk. I don't know if this was a good idea. I just don't know. I can't get behind this. Dare I hammer? Oh, this is so... I'll gently tap. It's like playing Jenga, except the thing breaks. Or what's the game with the penguin and the hammer? It's not, hey, that's my fish. Thin ice? I don't know what it's called, but I think I did it. I think I got away with it. Without splintering anything. That was a close one. Holy monkey. Great. I'm glad for you. I'm glad for you to see Ryan. Two of my favorite board game folks. Is that Board Gamer Steph is your other favorite board game? Fight! No, we're good. You're welcome. You're welcome here. You must really love this game. Board Gamer Steph, are you asking about Dead of Winter? I don't actually love this game. I mentioned before, I think I played it once, maybe twice. Hard sell. It's like, let's spend our Friday evenings being menaced by zombies. It's not everybody's idea of a good time, to be honest. Okay, so that's the whole thing. And that should be a pretty straightforward undertaking to get the whole thing. So there's a place where you need to glue for sure. This corner. Pretty straightforward undertaking to get the whole thing back in the box. Hopefully the corners of the box will hold that little piece in. These two corners definitely need glue for sure. And then they'll be just fine. Just fine. Where's the glue? I don't know. Ask Cheryl. Like I said, serial crafter. But this bit bugs me. I don't know if you're bothered by this like I am, but in order to get this whole thing together, we've got to take all the guts out of the box, and then come on, all the people, and the ring, and the die, and all the rest. There's a lot of standees in this game. Holy cow! And then this blue ring, and this guy, this bag. We're gonna kill some plastic baggies today, boy. I can't wait. I believe that I'm going to have to take this out. And then what do you do with it? Do you throw that out? I think you do. But I feel bad doing it. And I feel somehow I'm diminishing the value of the game. I'm all Mr. I'll admit, I do have a couple toys on my shelf that are still in their original boxes unopened. Only because I didn't have time to get around to playing with them. But I don't know, do you throw that out? Like, what if somebody comes along and says, hey, I'd really love to own Dead of Winter, but only if it comes with the original crappy cardboard insert. None of this fancy, expensive wood inserts. I think you throw out. Okay. I'll do it the way it is in the picture. Like I say, it might not even require glue if the corners of the box keep this thing in check. And it looks like, whoo, they do. That's a snug fit. It's a snug fit. Just double checking that this is the bottom of the box. Yes, because I made that mistake before. All right, there we go. Dead of Winter is a $20 game, so you're not losing much. Yeah, now it is. Now you tell me. I think I probably paid more than $20 back in the day. Yeah, a lot of smack talking about this game in the chat today. You wish I didn't know it was gonna raise some hackles. Oh, yes. I don't know how nice that is going to be to get back out. That's a kind of a tight fit. And then this bit fits right on top. Great. So let's just sort through these people and say who looks like a zombie and who looks like a survivor. Are you a zombie or a survivor? You're a zombie. What about you? You look like more of a survivor. And how about this guy? Zombie or survivor? I don't know, he could just be having a bad day, but we'll put him in zombies. And so on. Please don't judge me too harshly, says Bobby, except I am a little crazy. I've thus far kept all of my punched sprues. Will you keep the sprues? You keep the punched boards? There is a reason that I've seen that people keep the punched boards, and they say it's because when you get rid of the... This definitely needs a little bit more hammering. When you get rid of the punched boards, you know, they're in the original box when you get it, it's in shrink, and you get rid of it and it decreases by ½ an inch the level of the box, and everything's floating around in there a bit more. So people say that they keep those. Now, sprue isn't the right term. You were close, but I've looked this up because I wanted to do a Board Games 101 on it, and I think the sprue is the thing that connects it to the frame. Am I wrong? Or the thing that's left over when you snap it off? But I get what you mean. You keep the punched up punch boards. So people keep those, just stick them in the bottom of the box to lift everything up so that it presses more tightly against the lid of the box. So there is a reason to keep it. That might not be why you're keeping it. You might just be a hoarder. When he creates 3 inserts, LOL. Your punch spurs. Wow. I mean the punch boards, I understand. Yes, I'd pay some more for a game with 3 inserts. Good to have options. Yeah, I don't know what to do. When the dust settles and one of the 3 inserts emerges victorious, I don't know what to do with the other 2. Maybe math trade, I'm not sure. Are you switching video with your foot? Board Game Geek TV asks. Yes, welcome Board Game Geek TV. I am. This is something that I sold Rado on too because he was all Mr. Wizard of Oz. Yeah, so I convinced him to get this Olympus 3-button foot pedal. There's one button, that's Ryan Cam. There's button number 3, and then button number 2 goes over here. I've got my keyboard here, but usually it's the player board is set up here, right? So that's me, and then that's the main board, and if I go over here, it's the player board, and then on top of that, it wasn't enough buttons. I just needed more buttons. So a lot of people will use Elgato Stream Deck, but I don't have $400 to blow on it. So I'm using an old iPhone using something called Touch Portal, and that allows me to program buttons just like I would with an Elgato Stream Deck. I wonder if it's even more capable than the Elgato Stream Deck, but it's the same kind of thing. Like you can script buttons to do cool stuff. So I have a bunch more views programmed in here. So if I was on the overhead camera and I push this button that I programmed, it gives me the middle area close up. I can go up to the top left area of the main board, the top right area, the bottom left, and the bottom right. And that's just, how I decided to set it up. And then I just recently started doing 2-player board games, and so you need a whole other camera to do that because you need to show the second player's board. So this area is not big enough for the both of us, so I need 2. So now what I've got going on is I've got 2 side tables on either side of my main table. So my player board stuff is over here, and I don't have it set up, but there's a whole one of these spring-loaded boom arm clamps that can hold another iPhone. You got to have the I can't get this on camera, the HDMI adapter on there. So we plug in another iPhone, we got 4 cameras running, and then I can use another button to switch over to what player 2's board is doing. Hope that answers your questions. I should have said all of that while I was sorting out survivors and zombies. There's a zombie, you're a survivor, I'm a survivor, I am a zombie. Please don't copyright strike me. Okay. Thank you. So true, says Poppy. About what? Sprues are when you snip minis off the plastic. Games Workshop in particular. Are they the bits that are left though, or are they the bits that hold it onto the main frame? I looked this up and I was surprised to find that I'd been using the word wrong my entire life. Dang, says Board Game Stuff. Come set up my studio, LOL. Oh, what you're not seeing. It's just like anytime you see somebody on Instagram or whatever, like, oh, that person's life looks perfect. You haven't seen the rest of the studio. The rest of the studio is basically looks like Dead of Winter. It's a little bit of a post-apocalyptic nightmare down here. Omelet, who's lurking now, who's moderating for us, has seen the studio because he's been on a stream with me. Oh yeah, this is nice and Christmas themed. I like this. Let me get in a bit closer. There's like hobo mauled Santa. That's fun. And I think one of the characters is a dog. I think somebody's in a wheelchair. There's a whole panoply of representation going on. I haven't found a box just for the knife, so I'm going to leave that till the end. You're a person armed with a mop. Maybe get yourself a better weapon there, buddy. Zombie. This is the boring part. I'm going to do it as quick as I can. Ah, there's the dog. Look at that. I think he's got like a little cape on or something. Cool. Zombie, zombie, zombie. Person, person, zombie. Zombie. Zombie, 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 zombie. Great. That's no sheet behind Ryan. That's the finest in Canadian snow walls. Yes. Yeah, it's not a sheet. It's a scrim. So you can kind of see cast a shadow on it. So all of my all of my gear is like the finest in low-level budget Amazon I want to have a studio gear imaginable. So you know how they have those kits where you get a bag and you get 2 umbrella stands and a smaller light? I'm going to lift this up. It's going to be kind of glary, but I've got this lighting the scrim behind me, so that's one of the stands, and I used the light bulb that shipped there. But with the 2 umbrella stands that are here and here, I plugged the light bulbs in, and they were nowhere near bright enough in order to light the place the way that I wanted it to. So I actually had to go and additionally buy a whole big ass light bulb for each of them, and those light bulbs are a little bit costly. I won't lie, and I also won't lie. I'm not making enough money on these videos to cover it. Oh my gosh, what's happening? Speaking of budget equipment, yeah, that's what's going on with the lighting situation. And it's been recommended to me, oh, you got to go get one of those LED array lights that's in a big, square, and then you got a dimmer and fade it up and down and da-da-da. I'm like, have you seen what people make on YouTube ad rev share? It ain't a lot. By the way, if you would like to contribute to Nights Around a Table and make this setup even better, there's the link to the Patreon, and a lot of the people who are in the chat right now are patrons of the channel, so they get extra perks. If they join us, here's one of the perks. If they join us on the Discord server, let me just get that up here. It's going to go on top of that. Oh, I shouldn't have done it. I should have cleared it. Look, that's ugly. That's ugly. Let's do that. If you join us on the Discord server, is what I was trying to say. It's the Dead of Winter logo on top of that. It is. Then it's free to everybody. But if you happen to be a patron, your name will be in a different color, and you'll get access to secret behind-the-scenes channels where I talk about all this stuff. If you would like a list of all the equipment that I use, go to the main website, nightsaroundatable.com, and Tales from the Table is the blog, and I have a whole post there listing all of the equipment I use. Every January, I update it with a post called How I Spent Your Patreon Money, so I'll be doing that this January to list all the new acquisitions I got so that I can support 2 players. Eventually, we'll be able to work our way up to really being able to depict a nice 4-player game, 5-player game. Won't that be an amazing sight? Great. Yeah, Super Jelly, don't be jelly. Oh my gosh. This does not feel like the kind of setup that anybody should be jelly of. It really feels like it's like thumbtacks and tape holding the whole thing together. I don't know. Steph, I was saying to people before, I was really reticent to start live streaming. I don't know if you're the same way I am. I'm a bit of a perfectionist. And I thought, oh, I can't live stream unless I'm absolutely sure everything's going to be like broadcast TV standard perfect. Can't make any mistakes. Don't want to have lights falling down or that glitch that you just saw on the screen. None of that. And eventually I just had to like unclench my butthole and just stream. And yes, things have gone horribly wrong, as a lot of the people in this chat can attest. But holy cow, 101 of you are watching me. That's nuts. Thank you. Welcome, everybody. But the people who have watched the stream for the last couple of months can attest that things have gone terribly, terribly wrong repeatedly. But all you can do is just say like, I'm working on it. Thank you so much for your patience, and I'll get it sorted. And slowly but surely, we've got a lot of the issues sorted. It's like a French film noir with the black and white motif. It is. And the toque for sure, right? Like the toque has got to be like, I wear hats on my streams very often, and the toque I just thought would be a good Dead of Winter kind of thing. It's not like we're not going to go robbing a bank. That's the difference. Somebody was asking the difference between, what is the difference between a snoot and a balaclava? And I thought the difference was that, oh, maybe I'm wrong. I thought the difference was that a snoot goes over, oh, look at that hat head. Oh, very lovely. Why have you done it? A snoot is just the tube, and a balaclava goes over your whole face. I think, technically, a balaclava, which this isn't, that's what this is. I live in the Great White North, so we have to protect ourselves from the elements. So I do this with this. Knock out my earpiece. So I think a balaclava, correct me if I'm wrong, has eye holes and a mouth hole. That's the bank robber mask. Isn't it the balaclava? Or does it just have to have one portal like this one does? We're trying to get down to the bottom of the nomenclature for this stuff. Not that it really matters, but I'm an amateur etymologist, so I like knowing the origin stories of these things. Yes. Now I'm ready to go to the grocery store to buy a bottle of frozen milk. We don't really have milk in bottles. We do bags. It's Canada. Welcome. Great. Imagine streaming Feast for Odin from the fjords. That'd be cool. Let's create a community challenge to get me there. I know a lot of people have played. You see the pictures on Board Game Geek. A lot of people have played Carcassonne in Carcassonne. If you don't know, Carcassonne is like an actual real place. All right, this might be the super dullest part of this entire thing, but let me just try to get it done real quick. What's going on? We got survivor cards. Oh gosh, I don't want this to be super boring. These are all items. I should be able to get to the bottom of them very quickly. Items, 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 items. Strangely, it seems like way too many items than should be able to fit. Are those starter cards? Is that what those items are? Like, again, it's been so long since I played the game. Ah, I see. At the bottom, you've got the... let me get in a little bit closer. At the bottom, you've got a number that shows which section it's supposed to go in. So these are all gas station cards. Gas station. Ba-da-ba-ba-da. Boop. Gas station. Great. And we have a bracket for gas station cards. And it's right here. Look at that. Isn't that so much better? This does my soul good just to see everything tucked away. A place for everything and everything in its place. Great. You need to replace the scrim with a proper chroma key thing. Oberon, it did come with a green backdrop. I can put a green backdrop up there. I just find that, maybe I'm wrong, but the people I've seen who use the chroma key thing in OBS, it's not very good. It's like 1977 Star Wars good, or maybe 1983, Empire Strikes Back good, where you can see like a big outline of green around the person and the rest of the background is knocked out. I just find it's like, I don't know, it feels like a step backwards technically. This would be a really great goal for 2022. Wouldn't it be nice to actually have a set behind me? Some people have said to me that it's really nice going to a board game channel that doesn't have all sorts of widgy-woos and things all over the place and all sorts of distracting nonsense, and just a white screen, just really simple. And all the nonsense can stream directly from my mouth instead of hitting your eyeballs. It goes into your ears. Great. It could be a single cutout, I think. What are we talking about here, Board Game Geek TV? A snoot can be pulled down off your head to be a scarf. A balaclava can't, because the balaclava has the headpiece, right? I think we're figuring it out. Thank you, brackets, Liza. Ryan is either ready for cold weather or to a covert ops mission. Exactly. Not robbing a bank, I promise. If I robbed a bank, I would make way more money than I do this. Trivia question. What board game comes with a balaclava? That's a great question. It comes with a balaclava? If you've been following the stream, you'll be able to answer this one. Which board game comes with this cookie cutter? We just streamed that a couple of episodes ago. Comes with a balaclava. Oh, I think I know. I know the answer to this. If it's anything, it's the game that they're thinking of. Is it, and I'm going to get the name wrong. Is it, no, it's not called, I shouldn't say. I'll let other people guess, but I should write down my answer. That's what I'll do. I'll write down my answer. I love trivia. Usually I'm coming up with the questions. I don't get to answer them. Just write down my answer here. Now, if I don't get the actual title wrong, I probably won't win, right? Like a... I have to, it's like a sentence answer. Oh my gosh. Okay, hold on, I'm getting excited. I'm just gonna guess at the answer here. Question mark, or the other thing I'm thinking of is it's not this. Okay, good. My answer is locked in, so you guys can keep guessing. If it's the game I'm thinking of, I would very much like to try it. I have no idea, says Board Gamer Steph. I think I do. A balaclava can also be rolled into a toque. Yeah, I suppose you're right, but by that token, can't anything be rolled into... I could roll my t-shirt into a toque, technically. I mean, technically. Or maybe more of a turban. War on Terror. That's the one I know. Oh, is that the one? Then I got it wrong. You can see how giddy he is. This man loves trivia and quizzes. His Uber was phenomenal. Oh, thank you so much, Poppy. I do love trivia. I am a game designer, and one of the styles of games I always like to design involved trivia. I'm an escape room designer as well, so it's just right up my alley. Starter. These look poorly shuffled, or are they supposed to be like that? Starter. This is not, if you're just tuning in, this is not a card craft channel. Clearly I'm a bit clumsy at this. Poink. There's all some starters. Next stack. Library. That's hard to say 20 times fast. Library, hospital, library, hospital. Library, right in here. Let's get that on camera. There we go. Hospital, all the way down to hospital, gas station, hospital. 2 different places. I'm led to believe. You don't want to mistake one for the other. Doctor, it hurts when I do this. Fill it up with unleaded. Gas station. Great. We're cracking this case. No problem. What game did I think? War on Terror was the answer? Ah, nuts. Okay, I'll show you my answer. I feel dumb now. I feel dumb because I couldn't even think of the name of the game that I was thinking of. Wait, here we go. I said, the one that's like a graphic adventure game, Kamloops? No, Pamplemousse? What is it called? Does it have a double O in it? You know the one I'm talking about, where the cartoon guy on the cover is against a lineup board with the lines on it to measure his height at a police station, and he has Balaclava around his neck. What am I thinking of? That's the new trivia game. What weird, obscure game is Ryan thinking of that nobody's heard of? Cantaloupe. Cantaloupe is the one I'm thinking of, not Pamplemousse. Now I'm going to bed. Thank you so much, Brackets Lisa. I finally figured out what your username says, too. Not Brackets Slice. Is that what it said? No, first time. Brackets Lisa makes marginally more sense. Great. I don't know what these cards are. We'll put them in the right place in moments. But over here, Usual Suspects has a lineup. Yeah, it looks like the... oh, thank you so much, Brackets Lisa, for the follow, as you toddle off to bed. But if you're staying, I will tell you a story if you give me a prompt in the chat. I'll just have to pay attention. So 1-word prompt, and I'll tell you a story that was sure to entertain and delight. Sure to entertain and delight? I hope. It's my best guess. Police station. Pamplemousse is a French grapefruit. Yes. Or a French band that does really good covers. What do they cover? Pamplemousse. I don't think I've heard the band, but I know. I'm in Canada, so we're made to take French from the 4th grade on. Some of these got mixed up, didn't they? This is a gas station one, but they never will now that I got this insert by Cracky. Forget mixing stuff up. Gas station. Police station. Love it. Look at that. Look how nice that is. Look how satisfying. Brackets Lisa, now you're making me stay up late, but okay. Custard. You know what? I've got a board game related story about custard. So I have okay. How far back do I go in this story? Did you guys ever go trying to find a game group because you didn't have one? I told stories earlier in this channel about non-gamers and just trying to introduce games to your friends who aren't gamers and how that doesn't always or rarely goes well. I think this was one of the games I tried to introduce to my non-gaming friends, which is the reason why I've only played it like once, maybe twice. They just don't take to this sort of game, and that's fine. People like what they like, but you do want to find that group of people who you can play games with. So I started casting around looking for a group to join, and there's this thing called Meetup. I think you probably know it. It's an online service where you can pay a monthly fee to create a group, and that group can run events, and you can hook up to Eventbrite and charge tickets for it, yada blah, yada blah. So I see that this meetup is happening in the city next to my city. I live in a town called Oshawa, an hour east of Toronto, and Whitby is kind of like, like Springfield and Shelbyville. Right, so Whitby is the Shelbyville to our Springfield, or like Eagleton and Pawnee. So Whitby is the Eagleton to our Pawnee. We're like the lower class city, and the nicer city is next door. So Toronto Blue Jays baseball players who retire in Whitby, but they don't go to Oshawa. So this meetup is happening in Whitby, and they want you to register and do all this stuff. And I think I'll just show up. I'll just show up and I'll scope it out. So I put a few games in a bag, as one does, and I show up to the meetup. It's at a pub, fine, in Whitby, and I go in to the front door, and a guy's coming at the same time up the side path, and we both reached the front door at the same time. I think he had a bag of games. I don't know. I could tell that he was a board gamer. You can kind of tell. You know how your board gamer dar pings. So it was doing that. So I thought, this guy's a board gamer. He looks at my bag of games, which included a game called The Clank. He looks at my bag of games, and he looks at me up and down. He looks at my games. He goes, Clank? It's like, pardon me? That's my introduction to this whole group. Not like, oh, hey, how's it? It looks like you're here for board games. No, just clank, and then he goes in the pub. I'm like, wow, that's odd and off-putting. Like, I know that, how do I put this? I'll be gentle. A lot of people who like board games may not be the most socially adept people in the world. I get that, but that seemed like downright hostile, like weirdly like he's protective of his board gaming territory or something. Like, really strange attitude. These are all the Crossroad cards, by the way, and they go in the Crossroad section of the thing. So I go into this pub, and a couple of people are there sort of like taking registrations. As registrations, all they've done is they've reserved a section of the pub for people to play games in. Registrations, okay, it's a very ordered affair. So I show up and I say, hey, I thought I'd check it out. It's my first time here. And they're like, I'm like, okay. I said, what do I do? Where do I go? And they said, oh, did you register? I said, no, I skipped registration. I didn't think it would be a big deal. They're like, you really should have registered. I said, oh, why? Like, why? Why is that? Like, they weren't giving out badges or anything. It's just, you're just at a pub. You're just at a restaurant. You just have wait staff associated with this one area to make sure people get their French fries or whatever. I said, really got to register? They said, yeah. They said, if you didn't register, we just might not have enough room for you to play board games tonight. And I said, oh, okay. And the pub is massive. So I said, maybe I could sit at any one of these 145 odd tables around the enormous pub. Do you think that would be okay? They said, well, yeah, that would be fine. We're not controlling. It's all about control, right? We're not controlling the rest of the pub, but if you want to play up here in this reserve section, you kind of had to register. And I said, like, okay, I'll just grab one of these tables, order a burger, sit down, and like play a solo game. If somebody wants to wander down and play with me, that's cool. Like, it's a really weird intro, right? And they said their ears perked up when I said order a burger. They said, you're ordering food? I said, yeah, isn't that par for the course? Like, isn't that what you do? You come and you thank the pub by ordering their food, and they said, no, if you're ordering food, by God, please come up to this section. Please come up. Because I think they have a lot of freeloaders in the group who just show up, play games. They order a water and then they leave after like 5 hours. So because I was ordering food, I was more welcome than the people who registered. So already like super off. But it was just a really, really weird night. I tell that story by way of the custard story, just because I'm sure that many of you have had situations like that where maybe the personalities who like board games aren't quite ready for prime time. These are all the character cards. I'm going to put them in the character area. Characters. Survivor. Bang. So I had to cast around looking for more people, and it was actually on BoardGameGeek.com where somebody was posting about the board game events in my area. And so I wrote, I'm like, I had this really weird experience with the meetup group who met at a pub in Whitby. It was really off-putting. I don't think I'll ever be back because it was just like I felt so unwelcome. Anybody else doing anything. So this guy named Dave said like, oh yeah, me and a bunch of fellas, we meet every so often to play board games. Why don't you join us? I said, oh, that sounds great, Dave. Thank you so much. Give me time and place. So he gave me the time and place. And it was at this gentleman named Doc's house. So I went over and it was dudes all slightly older than me, maybe 5, in some cases 10 years older than me. But when you get this old, it's in the ballpark. That's fine. I didn't feel mega uncomfortable. And Doc, the host, had a bunch of tables set up. And so that was the first time I got to play Terraforming Mars. And they were playing Underwater Cities, which was brand new at the time, in the other room. And that took them a very long time to get through. And it was just a great time. I had a great time. And so everybody brought food. It was a little bit of kind of like a potluck thing for lunch. And they were bringing host gifts. And so one guy brought, he's like, custard, right? Portuguese custard tarts, which are called, in Portuguese, the word is, it starts with an N, and it will come to me. But that was not your prompt, so I'm sticking with custard. They're scrumptious anyway. They're like egg tarts. They're really, really good. So he brought a box of those. So I always associate that positive experience I had playing board games with Doc's house and those tarts and that experience. Doc, I find out, I make friends with him and I go over to his place to play games fairly regularly before the pandemic hits with him and his friend Jay. Doc actually owns a board game publisher called Mercury Games. So if you've seen the big version of Container that they did a reprint of Container, but they decided to make all the pieces gigantic. That was Mercury Games. Great. Back here, yeah, they're super yummy. How was the burger? I don't even know if I ordered a burger. I was warned against one of the people that I ended up playing with because I was playing with, I've told the story before, I was playing with this woman who was the politically the most left person I could imagine. She was gay and she had a pixie cut and she had a bunch of piercings and she, you know, she was that style of person. And then this guy was kind of like a heavier set guy with a big walrus mustache and a big chunky sweater, and he had glasses. And he was in his 50s, I think, 50s or early 60s. And those were the people I was playing with. And so the guy was turned out about as far right as you can get. And boy, didn't we hear about it. She wasn't espousing any of her political views, but I got to hear all about what he thought of the world by the end of the game. And I was just like, oh, okay, can we just, you know, can we just play Terra Mystica or whatever the heck was going on the table? Now, what were we playing? We were playing Istanbul. That was my first time and last so far playing Istanbul. Whitby is where Dracula landed in the UK. Is it really? Is that true? I can't remember. I don't know if I made it to that point in the novel. How goes the reboxing? The Panic Caves asks. Here's where we are. I'm just fitting everything. I'm fitting everything into the little... The cards are taking a little while because I'm yapping and telling stories. I had a prompt of custard to tell a story. Library card. We're almost done. Almost done. We'll get out of here. Go eat dinner. Time short, time medium. I don't know what these are. I don't know what these cards are, where they fit. Main objective. I think these are main objective cards. You can tell me, are these main objective cards? Don't read them because maybe spoilers, but like kill them. Yeah, that looks like an objective, doesn't it? Winter has come, leave it all behind, stockpile. These look like objective cards to me, so I'm going to put them in the objective card area. Main objective. Or are they crisis cards? I don't know. Are they double-sided? They're even double-sided. Who the heck knows? They're going in there anyway. Main objective. You can kind of tell by how big the... They've done a good job, Gaming Trunk has, of making the dividers about as thick as the amount of cards that need to go in there. And the rest of these are... These look like crisis cards. This is one thing I don't like about cooperative games. I don't know if you're like me, but I don't like cooperative games generally. There's another reason why I haven't played this game as much as maybe I should have to get my XD bucks worth. Exiled. Where did those go? Exiled objectives. Yes, they go in there. Because I don't like the whole like here's the big book of terrible stuff that's going to happen to you in a cooperative game. It always seems to be that way, right? Like every single round we're going to pull a card off this deck and like, no, everybody gets triple murdered. You're like, oh, I never saw that coming. I couldn't have planned for that. I don't know. It doesn't feel good. And then in a cooperative game, in a competitive game, one person is going to be happy. One person is going to be sort of happy because they came in second. So you're playing a 4-player game. And then the person in the last is going to be sad, but they'll make excuses for why it's not the worst thing in the world. And then the person in third place is happy because they didn't come in fourth place. So you get, 3 moderately happy people and one kind of bummed out person. With a cooperative game, however, you basically just don't win and everybody at the table is sad. So I would just rather hedge on 3 people being various degrees of happy than everybody at the table being sad playing a cooperative game. That's my take on cooperative games. Thanks for the story. It was worth staying up late for. Thanks, Brackus Lisa. See y'all soon. Hope to see you on the next stream or catch you on Twitch as I'm roaming around kicking over furniture. So, if you ever eat a Portuguese custard tart again, it will be your protrusion... What is that? It will be your protrusion Madeleine for happy board game memories. I don't know the reference, Poppy. You've out-nerded me. What is protrusion Madeleine? Please do tell. Also, protrusion Madeleine. It's the first time I've ever heard that. I'm talking like, not Kevorkian. Who's the Pavlov? That's who I'm trying to think of. Pavlov, Kevorkian, 2 different dudes entirely. Very different research paths of those guys. Great. This is a make noise area, and the make noise tokens are, I don't know, they're right here. Ear tokens. So this and Clank, I just mentioned Clank. This and Clank both have make noise tokens that are bad. You don't want to make noise when there's a angry dragon Or now, the last spot I have depicts a mailbox or a can, open can. Oh, these are the cans. Did I do this in the wrong? Oh, one side of these is cans, the other side of these is closed cans. I'm just checking. Yeah, open and closed cans, but I also have some zombie markers, so I'm not too sure where the zombie markers are supposed to go quite yet. The last items that I have to put in the insert are zombie tokens. Perfect. They go in here. Proust. Yeah, hate to break it to you, but I'm not a big Proust reader. Proust, he ate a Madeleine. What is a Madeleine? Is that a type of fruit that I don't know about? And it made him remember his childhood, remembrance of things past, French autobiographical novel. I did not read Proust's. Zombicide, sorry, you're not a nerd, are you? I hope you're not a nerd. Zombicide has make noise tokens as well. Oh, does it? Yeah, again, I haven't played Zombicide. Nemesis has I heard a noise. That's fun. I gotta play now. So this is another thing that Cheryl did, was she used that neighborhood app, not the one by Facebook, because that's creepy and I just want to... Anything by Facebook is creepy, am I right? But it's the other one that Facebook is trying to emulate. And she found a really nice couple that we played board games with just once, and then I got really busy with commission projects, but I hope to play with them again. But we played Roll for the Galaxy together, just as a warm-up, get-to-know-you kind of thing, and it went really well. And I mentioned them because he's got a copy, I believe, of Nemesis with all the bells and whistles, all the trimmings, so I'd love to play that. Now, we got 3 things left, and no super obvious place to put them. Whoa! I guess this die can go where the dice go. And we have a knife marker and 2 donuts. Knife marker and 2 donuts. I don't know, we'll just stick that in with the zombies, I guess. There's no super good place to put it. Doesn't bother me super lots, but I will admit it bothers me a teensy bit. So that fits there, and we put all the boards on top. And sure. Are you fitting nicely? Hopefully. Hopefully. Like so. You don't fit nicely. Is that about as low as that thing goes? We don't want any box lift, friends. Yeah, okay. Well, we're going to get a little bit of raising with these. I think we'll be okay. If there's box lift, it's going to be 2 millimeters. We're fine. We're fine. We're fine. We're fine. Shazam! And the grand finale. And look at all of the bags that we've murdered through the process of putting this insert together. Oh, doesn't that feel good? Oh, there's stuff. Oh no, that's just that extra piece, which I probably won't throw out because I have a mental illness. So, but these bags, man, these can go in the also not throw out pile. They're going into the spare baggies, where I have thousands of spare baggies that I'll never use, but won't throw any out. Look at that, because you never know when you're going to be in a zombie situation and you need a million little dime bags. Who knows? Who knows? Maybe they gnaw your fingers off and you tuck them in there. And now I've got finger baggies. I don't know what I'm talking about. Great. So that is the Dead of Winter insert by Gaming Trunk. I think I've told a bunch of stories. Proust, I believe. Did Proust write the story on which, like, Little Shop of Horrors and all these Be Careful What You Wish For stories are based? Was that Proust, or am I getting him confused? Proust. I'm going to have to read Proust. What is a Madeleine? That's the other thing I wanted. Seemed to be a spot under. Under? Did I miss a spot under? Wouldn't those pieces of interest go in underneath the zombie insert? Well, we got to delve back into the zombie box. Good question. What did I miss? Under. Like under? You just want to, like, do that? Oh, you're talking about the boards. My mistake. Yes. Of course, of course, of course. It's like, all right. That's what you're talking about, right? But then, any bright ideas as to where this and the cardboard knife go? I've lost the cardboard knife. And the special die, I don't know. Like, it doesn't really matter that they don't have place, but I guess we can just chuck them there. I think that's fine, right? Nobody's too burned about that, I don't think. Look, that's even tidier. That's even tighter. That fits really, really nicely. Even better. Even better. And what is the box lift situation? Woohoo! Box unfartometer. that is the box lift situation. Look at that, beautiful. No box lift, lovely. That's going to be nice to put back on the shelf and never play again. No, I don't know. If I get the right group together, I'll play it again. Seems to be good where you had them, or lots of room underneath where they are now. Yeah, it is perfect. It's good. Thank you for that tip. Thank you for that tip. And thank you so much for joining me on this adventure. We're going to raid somebody right now. I don't know if Omelette is around to help us raid somebody, but if somebody has any suggestions about who we should go check out and harass, I mean, befriend. Oh, look, it's a follow. Thank you so much, SGChild9, for the follow. If you're able to get a one-word prompt in, maybe I can tell you a quick story in exchange for the follow. One word, and then off we go. Oh. Meanwhile, rating. Oh, you're welcome, Poppy, for the stories. Tail Wagging Games. Usually Tail Wagging Games is on after us or during us, aren't they? So let me use this raid queue Tail Wagging Games. That queues them up. No, this queues them up. Raid queue Tail Wagging Games. So much custom stuff going on. Okay, cool. They're queued up. And so we'll do our little outro, which is now fixed and it now totally works. Here we go. All right. So that gives me 1 minute and 30 seconds to wrap it up. So if you join us on this raid, you will earn not only Twitch channel points, which are called stars, but you'll also earn cheddar. And cheddar is what we use to do cool things like make Ryan tell a story, make Ryan wear a birthday hat. I'm coming up with all kinds of stuff that we can put in the channel so that you can do cool things with your cheddar. If you want to see how much cheddar you earned just watching this little bit of the stream, type !points. What's coming up? I have switched my Saturday night stream to Friday night streams. So I'm going to be doing something cool Friday night, which may or may not include me and the Chronosis solo mode of Anachrony. Maybe. I don't know. I got kind of burned by Tricarian because it took 8 hours. I don't want to spend 8 hours on Friday night. Maybe you don't either. Or maybe you do. That sounds like peachy, doesn't it? I've also put another reminder up that we have this amazing Discord server. It's free to everybody. There are wonderful people in there. In fact, some of the people in this very chat who have been delightful are in that Discord server. We play games together on Board Game Arena all the time. In fact, I'm in the middle of an Agricola tournament right now. So if you'd like to play games with nice people and not the kind of meanies who hang out at pubs in Whitby, then please, by all means, follow that link and go to the Discord server. Okay, are you guys ready to raid? Here we come. It's almost loaded. Fingers crossed. Yeah. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. Thank you so much, everybody. We'll see you on Friday night.
Did you just watch that whole thing? Oh, hey, to 100% this video, click the badge to subscribe and then click the bell to get notifications when I've got new stuff.